So if you're a young man,
yes,
actually a man of any age watching this, and you're single, and you'd like to be in a relationship, you'd like to be in a committed relationship, what do you advise him to do?
Selection is the only thing that will determine whether or not you have a good relationship. And what predetermines your selection is your self-esteem. So if you have high self-esteem, your number one thing is you'll select women that want you. Where men get it wrong is that they forget that women just are very binary when it comes to this. They either like you or they don't. Yeah, it's very, very simple. Where men get it wrong is they pick women in the women that don't like you category and try and buy their love or try and convince her to want him. And then when she finally gets him, he thinks he's like the cat who got all the prizes. He thinks he's so proud of himself. When really having to convince and beg is poor selection in itself. So my number one advice to men is forget women who are not into you. Just, they're a waste of your time. Focus on the women that are into you. Select wisely amongst those. Don't compromise on attraction, right? But the underlying thing is how much she's invested into you and how much she loves you. After you've chosen from women that like you, have a look at their moral compass before you. So what was the best predictor of future relationships, unfortunately, is past relationships. What was her relationship like before you? Were they very chaotic, very, very disruptive? Was there a lot of infidelity? Have a look at it. No one's going to be perfect. Absolutely no one's going to be perfect. But if she engaged in behaviors that you believe were non-negotiables, you believe that maybe she did some things or she had a pattern or something that you believe is a non-negotiable, maybe she was really disrespectful, whatever it was. If it's a non-negotiable and she really likes you, still it's not going to work. But if she likes you a lot and her previous relationships and her previous patterns have shown that she has mistakes like everybody else, but it's not non-negotiable. She made a few mistakes here and there, but it's not a non-negotiable. It's not something that's going to break down the relationship. That's your woman.
You believe men should be married.
Absolutely.
You believe there's strong benefits to having a wife.
Absolutely. There's strong benefits to the values of marriage, not just being married. If you're a man that just enters marriage but then behaves like an unmarried man, there's no point you being married. But the values behind marriage, which is a compromise, understanding a woman, understanding how to be a father, understanding how to look after children, setting boundaries is very, very important in being a married man, expressing your genuine feedback to your woman, not being scared of what she has to say, not being terrified of this woman and her reaction. Being a true married man in a real marriage sense is incredibly beneficial. As long as you are inauthentically yourself in that marriage, you are leading in the right direction and you have incredible self-control. Being a married man that's just a puppy to his wife, who's afraid to tell her what he really thinks, who just follows her around like a lost cause and then lives a separate life behind her back because he so secretly resents her, there's no point you being married. Yeah, you're getting nothing from this. You're just getting a shared accommodation, but you're not getting anything else. So the true values of marriage, I think, benefit men more than they do anyone else. And the reason being is men have a lack of a circle where they can express themselves and be themselves. They don't really have intimate conversations with their fellow friends or this, that, and they don't have that circle. So when they can create an environment in their home where they can express themselves, they can give honest feedback. Oh, I didn't like the dinner today. Can you try it again next time with this, that? Or they can say, look, we haven't had sex in a while. Can you please, can we do something about this? When they can be their honest, true self, authentic self, it's an outlet like no other. Yeah, because they can't do it anywhere else. We, as the women, have the luxury of doing it even on social media if we wanted to. We could just express ourselves or whatever we want. We're so lucky in that regard. Men just don't have that. So if they can create a safe space in their home, they'll never want to leave it. If they're always trying to get out the house, always trying to leave their wife, their home is not a safe space. So they really need to learn to cultivate that in order to have a good life.
You've actually suggested some of these already, but what do you believe if you're dating, okay, right now, what are men's biggest red flags?
Oh, yeah, I have spoken about this a lot before. But what I would say is, firstly, look at their relationship with their parents and look at their relationship with their father more than anything else. A lot of people will say, you just have to look at the relationship with his mother. As you treat his mother right, he's going to be amazing to you. Actually, no. It's their relationship with masculinity that is far more important in their marriage than anything else. Now, if they have a father figure, some men are unfortunately with fathers that they don't respect, but they didn't generalize that to masculinity overall. They didn't generally be like, men can be so cruel, women are victims. They just had a dislike to their father, but they still remained relatively objective when it comes to men and women. That's totally fine. But if he has this really negative view of his father, never accessed his father because mom never allowed about it or whatever it is, or just thinks really low of his father and just has a really negative relationship with it, what happens is their introduction to masculinity is negative. As a result, they start to replicate what their mother taught them in the home in relationships. And usually mothers, what they want out of their sons is obedience, respect, follow orders, and, and they trust their mother blindly. They don't vet your mum when you're trusting your mum. You just accept what she has to say. That man, when he goes into relationships, he thinks women love obedience. They think women love somebody who just follows orders. They think women love a guy that just trusts them blindly. So what happens is he forgets what women are actually sexually attracted to because he learned what women like through the lens of his mum. He didn't watch mum and dad's interaction and learn anything from that. He just learned from mum. And as a result, he goes into relationships weaker. And you don't want that because eventually you will get frustrated with him. It will be like an extra child. So look at his relationship with men and look at his relationship with his father first and foremost.
This is actually one of the things I found most fascinating is your positioning on attractive women.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that it's hard? Actually, what is an attractive woman?
Here's what I would say true attraction is that their beauty can surpass their demographics. And what I mean by that is some girls are only beautiful in their area. Some girls are only beautiful to men of the same race. Some girls are only beautiful to men of the same age. Truly attractive is universal. It's something that we can put on a billboard in every country, Gucci campaign across the world. Everybody will stop and look when it's a particular supermodel. It's universal. So I think true, highly attractive, not everybody can be attractive, but hyper attractive is when it's universally appealing across demographics, age, race, gender. Most people can universally agree this person would cause me to stop scrolling and pay attention. That's what it's not just your culture. It's not just your, race or your age. Everybody can agree. Would you agree?
That's true attraction.
That's truly high level of attraction.
Is that just physicality or are there behavioral traits in there too?
I would say, look, essentially, when I first started social media, my motivator was I'm so bored of seeing beautiful women who I don't know what their voice is like. I'm so bored of just seeing beautiful girls, endlessly beautiful. I can't tell you what their voice sounds like because they don't talk. They just post pictures of them online in sexy outfits, and yet they got 1 million followers. I was bored of that. And I was just like, oh God, I really can't see this on my feed anymore. So part of me was like, I just want to know what they talk about. What that taught me is you actually don't need a personality to be seen as attractive because there's girls with 1 million followers who have not released one thing about their personality online. I've never seen them speak about anything and they make millions on brand deals. So I do think we'd like to believe it's very much personality linked. It helps, of course, elegance, class, speaking, all that helps. But just look at the average influencer. Sometimes they talk rubbish and they still have endless brand deals and endless followers. So I think it's idealistic to think that personality matters as much when it comes to attractive. Objective beauty is objective beauty.
Wow, objective. So what is it specifically, do you think that men, sort of saying heterosexual men, what are they most attracted to in women?
I think one thing that they're really attracted to is women being attracted to them. So all she has to be is an attractive woman. And if she gives them a glimmer of hope that she likes him, automatically she's a supermodel in their eyes. So I do think reciprocity is like that. But generally speaking, men have different types. Yeah. They come in different types. Blonde, blue eyes. It can be a curvy brunette. It can be all different types. So I don't want to speak on behalf of what all men find attractive. But I genuinely think all men generally find attractive is an element of beauty with sex appeal. Too much beauty with no sex appeal is nice, but they won't stay interested. Too much sex appeal with no beauty, again, nice, but it's replaceable. It's a combination of beauty with some element of sex appeal. Now, that can come from their inner personality, their aura, and so and so, but they need that in equal measure in order for them to be truly mesmerized by a woman.
Okay.
Can you answer that for me? What do men find attractive? What would you say?
Yeah, I think it's the sliding scale. Again, it is. There's so many different elements to it.
There's so many.
I like what you're talking about with regard to beauty and sex appeal, and there's a combination. I think also there's, you have the sapiosexuals out there that want to be intellectually stimulated.
Yes.
You have others that double down on the physicality.
Yeah.
It's interesting. When I first saw my wife, there were two things that truly pulled me in. One was I was just looking at her and it was a very hourglass shaped, and I feel like I'm predispositioned to a nice butt. So I was like, okay, I like what's happening here. But then immediately after, we were in this pre-college program, but it was a program where everyone in the small group had to take a test, and we walk in. So we had taken a test before. We walk in, and they're handing out the scores. She had scored the highest in the group.
Oh, beautiful.
I was like, oh my gosh, she's brilliant.
Do men like intelligence? Because I get lots of nice comments and stuff, but when I speak to men and actually see who they're madly in love with, it will be some bimbo that they met and they're just madly, I find like men with low self-esteem are just so excited to have a beautiful woman. Whether she has a brain cell or not is not relevant. Okay. Whereas with men with high self-esteem, they get beautiful women anyway.
Yeah. And I thank you for qualifying that. Because you were like, are men I was like, of course men are interested in intelligence.
But I think self-esteem makes a big difference.
It is. It is. I mean, ultimately, I think this is the common theme, no matter what gender, et cetera, is self-esteem or well-being, and the higher that well-being, the higher quality that enters our life. And also, it's interesting, like the higher well-being, it's the higher the fences.
Yes.
In order to jump into our life. The lower the well-being, the lower the fence. Everyone gets in.
I would agree. I think it takes a level of high self-esteem to go for something beyond looks in a woman. And I would hope most men can see how important it is to do that.
Yes, yeah. But let's say looks are important.
They are important. Absolutely.
Looks are important.
And that's why I put a lot, I know I talk a lot about this, but I do, because sometimes people say to me, why do you wear makeup? And I was like, because I respect myself. Why wouldn't I wear makeup? Why should I just be an intelligent woman and nothing else? You as a woman can be, well put together. You can look after your hair and nails and all those things. It shouldn't be either or. For some reason, I felt like when I came online, they wanted me to either just be a plain Jane and then talk really about these things, or not talk about these things and just stick to hair and makeup and all these things. As a woman, you can definitely have both if you prioritize both. I still take a lot of pride in my appearance, and I think you should never stop that, because essentially it's an element of self-respect. I do encourage women to get to the gym, look after themselves, put a bit of makeup on, look after yourself, only because you will feel better about yourself. You will genuinely feel better. People will treat you nicer. It's just a nicer experience in general when you are fulfilling your potential.